Edward Bernays, born in 1891, and he lived all the way up to 1995. This guy was the pioneer of public relations, okay, allegedly. This guy was a absolute mastermind at advertising and subliminal messaging and getting people to do things that they otherwise would not do unless they watched his commercial or his ad or looked at his logo or saw something. He understood. Edward Bernays knew that we live in a material world that we create by our perception. We live in a 3D fantasy land that we create by our perception. That's it. He understood this. And he understood if you show something to someone and you make it look appealing, you can target that part of that person's brain and you can actually get them to want to do things. You can get them to want to think things. You can put somebody at a crossroads. What do I mean by that? Whenever we are gathering information, we're being put at a crossroads constantly, all day long. And again, what do I mean by this? If you're not grasping what it means, a crossroads. And no, I'm not talking about the song by Robert Johnson, The Crossroads. Although that is a alchemical song. It's all about, that song is encoded. It has the sun encoded and the solstice encoded and the equinoxes, I believe. The equinoxes, maybe not the solstices, I forget, but there's a lot of encoding in that song. And it's an alchemical process, just like being placed at a crossroads is an alchemical process, because now you're forced to make a decision. Once you make that decision, that is now your perception, which is going to then carve out your reality for you. Okay, that's how it works. And again, Edward Bernays really knew this. They credit him for getting many millions of women to smoke, because before his day in America, women didn't really smoke, according to, a lot of the research that I've done. Once Edward Bernays got involved and started campaigning heavily for female smoking, he did a lot of messaging and target advertising for females, making it look sexy, making it look appealing to females in many different ways, as a housewife, as a mom, as a single woman. I mean, he really was grinding on women, and you could probably give him a lot of credit too for the whole feminist movement, really. But back to Edward, right? So this guy, brilliant guy, not with us anymore, but he is, again, the reason why we have such a problem in this country with smoking, particularly more so with the female smoking, because of his whole marketing campaign. Now check this out, because this is interesting. He wrote a bunch of books, but two books. He wrote one in 1923, and this book is right here. This book is really interesting. And then he wrote another book in 1928, I believe. And both these books are talking about how indoctrinated and brainwashed people are. And I mean, I will listen to what he has to say, because he is the pioneer of doing all of this. So it's interesting. I highly recommend you read into this guy and about this guy and understand that it's all about perception. Your perception creates your reality. So if you're perceiving yourself that, your life sucks. If your life sucks every day that you wake up, your life is going to suck all the time. It's just going to suck. Start to perceive it differently, and then things will change. But check this out right here.
The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men that we have never heard of. Our invisible governors are, in many cases, unaware of the identity of their fellow members. Now, the other thing I'd like to point out is, for those of you who think America didn't really start to fall until the 50s and 60s and all that, this book, Crystallizing Public Opinion, was published in 1923. Bernays' second book, Propaganda was published in 1928. So the Great Depression hadn't even happened yet, and he's blatantly pointing out how much everyone is being manipulated.
It's almost...
For those of you who want to learn about this stuff, I highly recommend this book. I'm sure you can find it for free, a PDF version on archive.org as well. But I highly recommend getting the book. Check it out. Remember, I love you all, and this is for entertainment purposes.